Well, good morning, everybody. It's like 80 degrees out here today in Texas, so just, whatever. Anyways, it is Saturday morning, March 2nd, and it is about 9:50 in the morning. Yesterday, I made a video, and I actually was too emotional and I couldn't get through it. I didn't erase it, I just didn't get through it, and I stopped it. And I don't know when this will be posted, but I can tell you it will not be posted immediately. I am supposed to post this and leave it because other things have to happen and other things have to be put into place before this can be put in public. And so I'm just going to put that out there immediately to everybody. I'm sorry, you guys. I got these new overalls and I'm trying to figure out how to sit in them. Anyways, sorry. Okay. First of all, I think that at this point in my journey and in your journeys, we are all under the understanding that we all go through things for a reason. And we have to go through things for a reason in order to help ourselves heal and in order to help other people heal and to help other people see things that they may not have seen before, correct? With new eyes, with a new vision, with a new mindset, correct? At this point in my journey, you are either 100% believe in God, you're questioning some things, you're being deceived and in denial, or you think I'm a witch and I have witchcraft. Those are kind of the people that are on or around my life at this point. And those who honestly who think I'm a witch or think that there's something else going on or think whatever they want to think, they're the ones that probably watch me the most on here. My haters probably watch me the most on here. And so, which is great. I think it's amazing because that just shows God more and more. And so I don't mind that part at all. But, and the post that I did yesterday, I got too emotional and I had too much feeling in it, and it was raw and it was uncensored, but it also probably wasn't the way that it should have been presented at the time. And so I couldn't even make it through my own video, you guys, and I ended up shutting it off. So today is a new day. Today I have a different mindset, I guess you want to say, on some things, and I'm kind of like I put on the armor and I'm about to fight a battle. And I'm well aware of that. And so knowing that, I know now that it's time for me to do a video differently. But again, until some other puzzle pieces come together that God is working on ahead, this will not post yet until everything else comes together so that you can see that I am speaking something that I think is going to happen before it happens. And I guess that's what they want to call prophecy. Okay. And I know that's a huge word that everybody cringes with. And I'm well aware of that. However, I have a purpose in life, and I have a purpose that is to show God in as many ways possible. And I have been given a strength that I do not have to do this for some reason. And I guess all along I've known that, and people who know me know this as well. I shut my mouth until I don't have to shut my mouth anymore. So, I am going to try in some way, and I have nothing in front of me. I have no papers. There's nothing in front of me to explain. This is going to be all spiritual, and this is going to be all God-led on everything that I tell you from this point. Because I don't even know how to explain it. So let me just put that out there as well. Okay, so this is all going to be what I'm hoping to be kind of like downloaded to explain to you all in a way that makes sense. So here we go. When you think of a cult, the first thing that probably 95 to 99% of you think of is multiple wives. When you think of a cult, you think of having sex with minors. When you think of a cult, you think of wearing dresses and having to be at a certain length. And there are certain aspects of what people have put under an umbrella of what a cult looks like. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. There are definitely those kinds of cults. However, I want to explain to you guys a little bit more about a religious cult. and what a religious cult looks like. It's very different. And I am still wrapping my head around this whole idea as well. But what I'm going to say to you guys is that what is meant to be and will come back restored better than before. And that's biblical, correct? There is going to be reuniting of people from the cult that have left. And it's going to be bigger than anything that any of us have ever imagined. And for those of you who don't know anybody from the cult that I've been in, because you guys are new friends of mine or new acquaintances or new friends on Facebook from my journey and all this kind of stuff, I understand that. But there are people from my past who were in the cult and got out, who are friends with me and also friends with me on Facebook, and we still talk here and there. They're healing, I'm healing, so we've kept our distances, yet we've come together on certain things when we need to talk and, that kind of stuff. And everybody, so that you are well aware, those that have left the cult are striving. They are doing amazing. And everybody is healthy and happy, and a lot of people are at the end of their healing and are let go and moved on. They are in the process still of their healing. And I think, on the tail end of some things, but there's still aha moments of reality of how deep into this religious cult I was in. And to give you guys a better understanding, there are so many stories and there are so many details of every time that I could pinpoint how wrong everything was, yet I still kept going in it, knowing it was wrong. I shunned family. People kept telling me, people kept warning me. I didn't listen. I kept saying that they were the ones that are wrong, and how can this not be of God, and all this kind of stuff. What does happen, and in most cases, with narcissists, with wrong leadership, with all kinds, they take your weakness and they pounce on it. So when you're at your weakest, you rely on them because you think that that's your only source. You think that that's your only worth. You think that that's your only way. And so you cling on to somebody who's giving you what you need in that moment. But then it turns around and becomes manipulation, but you've gotten yourself so deep into it, you're not quite sure how to get out of it. And so you think that this is your will, and you think that this is of God, and you think that this is how it's supposed to be. And so when you think of suffering and suffering with God, it looks different than what it's really supposed to look like of God's suffering. When you suffer, you're going through the healing process. But when you're in a religious cult, they make you think that you have to continue to suffer in order for God to work in you. In other words, they say to you, God's punishing you. You did this wrong, and you need to repent, and you need to ask God for your forgiveness because you're being punished. Basically, you're reaping what you sow, or your karma, or whatever the case may be. That's what they hold above you. So when you don't do what you're told, or you don't do what is expected of you, or whatever the case may be, they make you keep having to, what's the best word for it? They make you keep having to prove yourself, and it's never good enough. And so you work twice as hard, and you do more than you should because you think that that's what God is asking of you because you've been punished and you need to serve Him in order to be right with God. And I don't know how much this makes sense without telling you stories, but I'm not ready for all that yet. And we're not there yet. I'm just this is the surface part of a cult that I am telling you in this time. Okay, you guys? Everything happens very fast. You are very, very busy. And they keep you distracted and busy so that you don't focus on God and you focus on them. And then everything is downloaded to them and you go off of what they say because God told them. So God told them this and you believe it because you believe in your leadership. And when you're supposed to be undercover and you're supposed to be under the correct authority, you don't question your leadership. You're not supposed to question your leadership according to them. Because then you are being the Jezebel spirit. You are wrong. And then they twist it and they make it about you. So then when you sit with them or you ask them a question or you say something to them that contradicts the Bible or contradicts what you know is correct, they twist it and you're the problem. They're never wrong. They never take accountability. They never, and you go, you're not God and you're not perfect. So why are you expecting that of me if you can't do it yourself? But you want me to take accountability, you want me to make the apologies, and you want everything is about what you need to do because they say that they've already done it. They're farther in their journey. You're always in a journey and you are always going to be learning. I'm just going to put that out there for everybody. You are never going to be perfect and you are never, ever going to be that holy for God. It's just not possible, y'all. We're human. But that's what I got into. And that's where I was at with all of this. And for 4 years, I left the cult twice. What happened very fast was I met my ex-husband in November and we married in January. It was meant to be. This is God's will. You're all living under the same roof. You need to be married. You can't be in the ministry. So let's just marry you. You guys are old. This is it. You know that this is God's will. Let's just marry you. The next week, after this conversation happened, boom, we got married. It was not how him and I had planned it, but we went, well, this is God. Like we just kind of went with the flow. Now, what I will explain to you as well was his oldest daughter was dating and ended up marrying the leader's son. So now not only was I in a cult, but I was in the family of the cult. There was a lot of jealousy that I now see from the leadership. My joy got squashed and diminished, and I was told that I was wanting to be the center of attention. I was told that I have tattoos, and one of the tattoos that I have on me is a fairy. And in fact, let me see if I can even show it to you. I don't even know if it's going to come through here for you all, but kind of. Not really, but kind of. So I have a fairy. And this fairy absolutely looks demonic, okay? And that was a time in my life. And granted, I wish I would have done the face differently as well on this fairy, okay? But I didn't, okay? But this fairy represents me bold and out there, but it also reflects my dark side and my light side, okay? So it's everything, you know what I mean? It's very much me in this fairy that I have. And I was told that I needed to cover that tattoo because it's demonic and I have demonic attachments to me. Yeah, I'm laughing too, y'all. My first thought when that was told to me was, my tattoos can reach a lot of people. When you're out in the streets, you're at a gas station, you're in the grocery store, do you know how many compliments I get on my tattoo that starts conversations with people who don't even know who God is? Or maybe they do know who God is, but not in the way that they thought they did, or they're broken, you know, and they're in a tough spot. And here comes somebody with some light and some joy going, oh my God, thank you. Oh my God, I love your tattoo. And we're having conversations. And you're having a conversation with somebody that you would have never talked to, and vice versa. But you want me to cover it up and make it something different? Because you think I'm demonic? There's one thing that happened. I can go back from the very, very beginning, which I am not ready to do that yet because that involves other people that I'm not sure that it's time for that yet, okay? But there were marriages that were not right. There were things that happened that were not right. When I look at my sisters in Christ that were in there, my besties that were in there, that we were told that we can't hang out together because we're gossiping. Oh no. The problem is that we were healing. And the problem is that we were helping each other out. And then I was told that I can't talk to them that way because I'm not qualified. This is where it gets fun. And so then I question that. And I say, God qualifies us. Isn't that correct? Oh, yes, but that's not your purpose. What is my purpose? Well, you'll find out sooner or later. Oh, you bet your life I'm going to find out sooner or later. But to her, I was a threat because people were healing in the ministry. And so I sit here and I go, And I just kind of wonder on some things, and I questioned and questioned. And the more that I questioned, the more that I got punished in the ministry, the more miserable I became. I gained weight. I wasn't happy. And then when you go to talk to your spouse about it all, they shut down. They don't want to talk about it. They're saying just leave it alone. Just don't worry about it. So they didn't defend you. They didn't stick up for you. They didn't do anything. And when you decided to leave the ministry, and God told me to leave, mind you, and I knew because the minute that I did it, the minute I had peace. The first time. I kicked and screamed the second time. I ain't gonna lie. But that's when I lost everything. But God had to do that to be where we are now. This is just literally the surface of some things that were happening with me and with many others. And I was very prominent in this ministry. In fact, I videoed our announcements. I was the one who got in front of church and did the announcements in front of everybody. I was a very prominent face in this ministry. I want to make that very clear to everybody. So when I departed and I left, it opened a lot of eyes and it made a lot of questioning of things that were going on. But instead of confronting those, I was shunned. I was blocked. Gates were locked. I was not welcome. Lies were told about me. Lots of deception. Lots of things that are not true that were told about me. And I had to take that all in and lose my grandkids, lose my husband, lose the family that I had been building and was proud of and wanted. But I was miserable at the same time, mind you. Now, I'm not saying that everything that's happened in my marriage or everything that's happening is because of her, but I will tell you that it's 95%. Because she was who I went to help restore my marriage and told me that I should leave him 3 times. She told me I need to leave him. And instead of working on a marriage, instead of talking about things, it was very vague. It was very different. And then when we would have a marital meeting, everything was my fault. I'm telling you guys, shit is crazy what I went through. She tried to separate families left and right, you guys. Marriages left and right. She really thought that she could dominate the strong women that she did have in her ministry because she was weak. And instead of all of us working together to build each other up to be stronger women or to be stronger people and to have better marriages and better families and generational curse, it was her thinking that she had the power to do that. And we traveled. And she put hands on people to try and heal them. And then she did a deliverance ministry. You guys, that's a whole nother Oprah to talk about. Only God can deliver you from anything. And when you try to take credit for what God is doing, this is where everything changed in the ministry. At first it was good and it was right. And she was right with God. And everything was going the way it was. And we were growing and we were flourishing and things were going. And as soon as she got called out within the city that we were living in and things were being exposed, it was God says we need to move. And that's where they moved to Texas. Very quickly after being in Texas and me leaving the ministry again and things being exposed and things coming to light, she then moved into Florida. Lots of people saw it, discerned, and left the ministry while still being in Texas. And they knew they were supposed to be planted in Texas. They were correct with God that they were supposed to be in Texas, but they weren't coming to Texas for the ministry. They came with the ministry, knowing that some way, somehow, it was going to end eventually. But none of that was told to everybody, but I have heard these stories now sitting and talking to people, how they heard God and how differently they heard God and why they were ended up in Texas and why they're in Texas. But the ministry pulled them here, so it was for good, mind you. What was meant for evil turns for good, correct? I'm being told now that I'm sharing my journey more and more. I'm being told that more people have left. More people's eyes are opening. The apologies are starting to come into me. I don't know what happens from here, but I have a pretty good idea of what happens from here. And it's going to shake up some things and it's going to stir up some things, but it's going to heal a lot of people. What happens? And again, I'm not posting this immediately. And I'm going to say that again. It's not time to post this. But it's time for me to film it so that when it happens and when it occurs, there's documentation of what I have said and prophesied about this. Because it's going to open more doors to religious and debunking this and having a better understanding of who God is and thinking outside the box and having a more understanding of the Bible in a deeper way than superficial that the church teaches you. This journey is not for nothing, and we all know that. And we know that God has a purpose in everything that he does. And I have got to find strength and boldness in telling my story more and more for such a time as this. Because the deceit and the sheep's and wolf clothing are phenomenal right now. But you have to discern that, and you have to know that, and you have to trust God in the process of what is happening. And I guess I did trust God in the process of what was happening during it all, and he never left me. And I was on my knees more than I knew, and the Holy Spirit kept telling me things that were wrong and that were not okay. I'm going to end this here for many reasons. But just know this is one of many videos that are going to get to come. Have a good day, guys.